One chance. One place. Discovery Health Channel. Real life, medicine, miracles.
Impact. How much can the human body take? A football player gets his head smashed and loses all feeling below his neck. In an instant, your life can be shattered. Without warning, your body broken, your future left hanging by a thread. Only the heroism of total strangers, cutting-edge technology, and the practice of bold medicine stand between life and death. These are stories of survival, about real people pushed past their limits, lives forever changed by a moment of impact. A father videotapes a dream come true. His son's first varsity football game. But when this teenager goes down in a hard-hitting tackle, the family's dreams are shattered. It was the season opener for Monroe Township High School in New Jersey. Wearing number 50, 16-year-old Sean Dennehy was playing in his first varsity game. His proud parents were in the stands. His father, Paul, was videotaping everything.
We made the varsity as a junior year, and me being a football player, I was kind of all gung-ho to see him out there, and he was doing real well. It was the kickoff of the second half, and I was taping Sean. He had outside containment on the kickoff team. He was running down the field on the sidelines.
Sean charged the receiver.
And he got blocked. When he stepped to outside, the running back was coming up full speed. I just saw like a collision because it happened so fast. And I saw something go down really fast, and I didn't know what it was. I zoomed in on it to try to see who was on the ground. I couldn't tell. I see something was wrong, and I didn't see number 50. It was my son's number. And that's when I realized there was something wrong, and it was Sean on the ground. So I kind of dropped the camera and ran down and jumped onto the field.
When Sean got hit, he went down, and I just thought he'd get up. He'd get up, and everybody'd clap, and he'd limp off, but he didn't.
The team's athletic trainer rushed to Sean.
I knew that it was a serious injury right away because he was not moving.
Mr. Say, I can't feel anything.
You don't feel anything?
No.
You don't feel anything in your hands?
Nope.
Nothing in your feet?
Nope.
And the further up I got to his head, the only place I had sensation were pretty much in his cheeks.
Sean's father was quickly at his side.
I feel my legs. Dad, I can't feel my legs.
And then I got to Sean, and he was on the ground, and he was crying. He was just laying there. He just looked at me and said, I can't move.
Dad,
All right.
I'm scared. Dad, I can't move.
Paramedics on scene raced onto the field.
He knew where he was and that he had gotten hurt, but he didn't understand what was going on and why he wasn't feeling anything in his arms and his legs.
Since he couldn't move anything below his head, it was clear he had a serious spinal injury. But his helmet prevented paramedics from using a collar to protect his neck. So Sean was strapped down with his helmet still on.
We didn't want to move him any more than we had to at that point because we didn't want to injure him any further.
Sean was loaded into an ambulance and raced to Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital.
I was asking if his feeling was coming back, and he said no. I remember him telling me that he heard like a ringing sound. He just looked really scared.
A half hour after the accident, Sean was whisked into the emergency room. He still had no feeling below his neck.
Do me a favor, push down with your feet.
Yeah.
You can't feel anything?
Nope.
Okay, did you feel your hands?
Nope.
Nope, okay. Guys, we gotta get him out of all this.
Sean's helmet and padding were cut off and removed. Then, Sean's spine was examined with a CAT scan. The results confirmed his doctor's worst fears. Sean's spinal cord was damaged at 3 different levels, the C4, C5, and C6 vertebrae. Orthopedic surgeon Stephen Reish was deeply concerned.
Usually, if they have more than 2 levels involved, their chances for improvement is very small.
When Sean was hit, his head took the full impact of the oncoming player. This crushed his C4, 5, and 6 vertebrae together. The discs in between ruptured, and the C5 shattered. Sean fell backwards, and his head hit another player's knee on the way down. This displaced his spine by ½ an inch, crushing his spinal cord. Pieces of shattered bone pressed against it, causing bleeding and swelling inside the spinal canal.
This is your spinal cord over here, and this piece of bone is pushing on your spinal cord, which is why your arms and legs aren't working.
The longer the spinal cord remained crushed, the lower the chance of any recovery. They had to get Sean's displaced spine back into alignment before they could operate.
They drilled 2 bolts into the side of his head and applied this harness around his head and then started applying weights to be able to pull his neck back out and get the pressure off, which was kind of tough to watch.
Sure, Dr. Wait.
Just take a slow, deep breath. Slow, deep breath, Sean.
We started out at 10 pounds, and we put about 50 pounds of traction on his skull.
The traction device screwed into Sean's skull pulled his spine back into alignment overnight. The next morning, Sean was taken into surgery.
The initial procedure was on the front of his neck, and what we did was take out that large herniated disc and went up to the level above at C4, C5, and once we took those 2 discs out, there was the large bone which had been fractured in the middle. We took the top of the bone of C6 off, so we were able to reach in and pull out a very large disc fragment which was crushing his spinal cord.
I sold my soul to switch places.
Sean's parents waited a painful 5 hours to find out the fate of their son. Dr. Reish finally came to them with guarded news. Sean had made it through the surgery.
Sean's doing fine. He's in the recovery room.
The pressure was off the spinal cord, but Sean would need another surgery in a few days to rebuild his spine.
We're going to have to watch and wait and see.
Dr. Reish's words were not overly positive because he had no idea what his prognosis, long-time prognosis, was going to be.
It still seemed unlikely that Sean would ever walk again, but there were signs his spinal cord was partially recovering.
He had a little bit of movement on the right side, hand. I think he had a little bit of leg. So, you know, certainly hopeful.
3 days later, Sean had the second operation.
The second surgery was on the back of his neck, where they put 2 rods in to stabilize his neck because his head was flopping.
Then, they took a piece of his pelvic bone to replace the vertebra they had removed.
Once we had contoured that into the right position, we put a plate that spanned from the level above to the level below and put 2 screws in each of those levels to stabilize the bone to allow it to heal in that position.
Surgeons had done everything they could to repair Sean's spine and restore blood flow to the spinal cord. But no one knew how much Sean would recover, if at all.
After that, there wasn't much of a change. You know, he still had the right side, nothing on the left.
It was devastating to not see any progress. Sean felt hopeless. He thought his life was over. Just 2 weeks after arriving at the hospital, Sean was released and started at Kessler Rehabilitation Center.
When he first got here, he really couldn't do anything for himself. He was pretty dependent. He needed help, you know, getting dressed, getting bathed, anything, feeding himself, just kind of the little things that you do every day.
But Sean's determination returned once again. As he pushed himself through long hours of therapy, he began to see improvements.
It came slow, but once it started coming, he started getting feeling and starting to move his legs, then it seemed to start coming faster and faster.
he arrived in the therapy gym, I asked him what his goal for therapy was. He was standing and his legs could hardly hold him up. He fell onto the mat and he said, "That's my goal, not to do that again."
Almost a month after his injury, Sean began to take his first steps with a walker.
I was just beside myself, and I called Paul and, crying, and oh my God, he's walking.
Good. Strong steps, Sean.
It was pretty special. And then it just got better from then.
Just 2 months after his paralyzing injury, Sean walked onto the field with his football team for the homecoming game. Once again, his father videotaped the proud moment.
Let's put our hands together one more time. Let's hear it for junior nose tackle, number 50, Sean Jennings.
It was a swell of emotion, like, everywhere. You're obviously, you can't be any more thankful and overjoyed that you're back.
It was a very emotional moment for Sean. He was happy, but being on the field brought back all the memories of what happened.
When I got blocked, I knew the ball was right behind the blocker, but I didn't know how close. I moved to the right. As soon as I moved there, the running back was right behind him, and I didn't have a chance to react. I wasn't able to brace myself, so my body took a big impact. I remember specifically a large bass noise that kind of reverberated through my body, and as soon as I heard that, I knew something was wrong. And then after that, it was kind of a big haze. Everything was so quick, play was over. And then usually after that, you just get up and do it again. And this time, I couldn't get up.
Sean will never play football again. His left side is still not 100%, but he's walking and has started college.
The philosophy that I have are kind of two basic things: that everything happens for a reason, and that I will not be denied in whatever I do.
I will not be denied. Sean's motto.
His quiet determination has become an inspiration to other victims of spinal cord injuries at Kessler.
Even on his vacations from school, he comes back to talk to the spinal cord patients and tell them that there's hope, to tell them not to give up.
It's good to have someone who's been through it and say, this is what happened to me, and to joke, laugh, and cry, and all about the same thing and understanding on that same level.